It feels like it has been so long since I sat in my no-buy seat and updated you on how my no-buy is going, so that's exactly what we're going to do today. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. You joined me today for an update on my no-buy. I don't actually think I've done one for this year since I set the rules back in January, so long overdue. So for those of you that may be new here or who haven't seen my no-buy videos in the past, I am on my second year of doing a no-buy. So last year I centered it more around money and how much money I was going to save by doing a no-buy. Both last year and this year I set myself some no-buy rules or guidelines to follow, but the main difference between this year and last year is that last year, as I've just said, I was focusing more on saving money, really focusing on buying less with the goal of working out how much money I could save by doing a no-buy compared to the year before where I was spending in just really shopaholic, maximalistic ways, really bad habits. This year, I'm doing it on a number of items basis. Because I've already done the financial viewpoint, I worked out that I saved about £2,000 throughout the course of last year's no-buy. Now I want to focus it on the number of items I physically bring into my house. If you've already seen my video that starts off the, I suppose, small series, if you like, of 2021 items to declutter in 2021, you will know I have a goal to declutter 2021 items this year. However, at the end, I am going to deduct the number of items I also brought into my house so I can calculate a sort of net overall how many items I gained or lost over the course of the year. I'm hoping it will be lost. I can't see myself buying 2021 non-essential items in a year. So this year is just more about the items themselves rather than the cost and how much I'm spending. So I thought every few months I would just give you an update on everything that I have deemed non-essential that I have bought so far this year. So obviously this isn't going to include things like my grocery shop, you know, that's pretty essential. These are literally just things I bought because I wanted to, because I wanted them. We're going to discuss which ones are rule breaks, which ones aren't, and whether this is sort of reasonable, acceptable for someone who, you know, says they're doing a no-buy. By the end of last year's, some people in the comments said, yeah, this turned into more of a low buy than a no buy. And in some circumstances, I would agree, but in others, there were areas where I literally spent nothing. And, you know, as I've already mentioned, I did save £2,000. So whether it was a no buy or a low buy, I consider that pretty good going. So let me show you everything I've bought so far. My first purchase of the year in January was a wok. I needed a new wok. Ours was really dingy and old, and I had made the mistake. This isn't gonna make sense, let me backtrack. Basically, if I'm gonna fry something, I cook everything in a wok just because of how big it is. I do have 2 frying pans, and I think the only things I use them for are making pancakes and frying eggs, like when you need something small. Everything else I pretty much do in a wok, even if it's a wok related recipe. So, you know, if I'm doing a curry and I fry the chicken, I'll fry the chicken in the wok, drain off the fat, and then just add everything to the wok. And the weirdest one, well, the one I think is the weirdest, is steak. I fry my steak in a wok if I'm frying it. Sometimes I grill it, sometimes I just whack it in the oven. And I had made the mistake of, you know, like cutting into my steak, like to check that it was done in the wok, and I'd like scratched all through the wok. But because I'd done it so many times over the course of 2 years, it was just like engraved in a weird like checkered pattern. And that meant that when I was washing it, like remains of the food were getting caught in those grooves, and I just didn't feel like it was coming clean. So decided to get a new wok. This was a direct replacement, so whilst my rule for household items was I shouldn't need any household items, I consider this to not be a rule break because it was a replacement for something that had seen better days. So that's my wok. The second and last thing I bought in January, as I say, I started very well. I only bought 2 things in January, was a skipping rope, or I think if you're in the US, you might call it a jump rope. And that was a bit of an impulse purchase. I know someone else who has one, and as part of their workout, they just do so many jumps over the rope. And at the time when they talked to me about it, they were doing like a 30-day challenge. So you start off by doing like 50 jumps and then you build up over the course of the month to something ridiculous. In my head I've got the number 1,000, but that seems way too high. So I thought that was great. You know, we were in another lockdown. I've got a back garden, so I could go out there and use it just as another way to exercise. I've not actually brought it with me. It is in my garage with all my other exercise stuff, and it only cost me £3. It was really cheap, but I honestly don't think I've got the use out of it that I could. I don't know if that's because I bought it in January and then going out sort of in the evenings to do a bit of the old skipping in January when it was freezing was the best idea. So I have used it a bit. I have not used it loads, but I am going to make a conscious effort now that it's spring and it's warmer to see how I go. I don't want that purchase to be in vain. Yes, it was cheap. Yes, it was small, but if I don't make the most of it, then to me that's still a waste. I didn't put any rules in place regarding exercise or fitness, so I can't really call this a rule break. It's just not something I thought about because the majority of my exercise comes from walking or jogging just out and about in the park, and I have a couple of exercise equipment things in my garage, so I never foresaw me needing anything else. So I'm gonna say it's not a rule break. You know, it was good intentions, it was to help with fitness, so I'm letting that one slide. That was it for January. I don't think for a whole month that was bad. You know, I was still using up makeup products, so I didn't need any replacements there. And I didn't buy anything for the house that wasn't needed. I didn't buy any clothes. So all in all, we're doing really well. Can I just say, I cannot wait for April 12th. I gave myself this year to focus on my capsule wardrobe, and that was where, for those of you that are new, that was where I have given myself some freedom. Last year I was very strict on clothing. I basically didn't buy any clothing for the enjoyment of it. I bought a couple of items for a new job I got. I needed sort of different professional wear to what I had. I think I bought 3 things and underwear. That was pretty much my deal for clothing last year. So I've given myself clothing this year because I actually want to make my capsule wardrobe something I love and something that I enjoy. And I was super excited to go thrifting because prior to this whole minimalism journey starting back in January 2020, I had barely shopped in secondhand stores. I had like a couple of items here and there, but not like loads and loads. And so I've been so excited to go. And then all last year with, you know, lockdown, some shops were closed at certain times, but I was really limiting myself on clothing. And now this year, I've given myself the freedom to go into thrift stores and purchase things to make my capsule wardrobe something I really love, and they have been closed the whole of 2021 so far. And when this video goes up, it's probably gone past April 12th, will it? Or it'll be very close to April 12th-ish, we'll see. And I am just so excited. I just want to go and I want to find things that I love, and I just can't wait. Anyway, I digress. So January was a really good month. Then we came on to February. Now February I made my first sort of larger purchase, but it was a planned purchase, and that was Organic Basics underwear. So I got given some Organic Basics underwear for Christmas in 2020. I hadn't tried them before and I was really excited to. They'd been on my wish list basically all year, not them specifically, but just underwear of this nature. And I came across Organic Basics probably in about May last year, and so I waited all the way till Christmas to get some, and they were so comfortable. I cannot rave about them enough, and because of how amazing the ones I got for Christmas were, I wanted to basically transfer my whole underwear collection. So I topped it up, so I can't remember how many I got for Christmas and how many I got in February, but I now have 3 bras, 10, I say underwear, but underwear refers to bras as well, doesn't it? 10 of like the bottoms. Don't make me say the word panty. Please don't make me say the word panty. I can't say that, no. Anyway, and 10 pairs of the socks. So now I can pretty much exclusively wear these, and I decluttered almost all of my other underwear, and I didn't do that in so much that it was a wasteful sense. Like, I hadn't bought myself new underwear in years. I was like long overdue an upgrade in terms of that. So if anyone's thinking, well, why did you just buy those to throw out your others? It was needed. I didn't do it in a wasteful way. I am perfectly happy with this purchase, and I am not considering this a rule break either. I feel like this is something I will use for a very long time, and I am so happy with the quality. So kind of a replacement, and I suppose if you want to include underwear in your capsule wardrobe, I don't personally, but I'm not considering this one a rule break. So that was quite a big purchase, but a very nice one. The other purchase I made in February was from Glossier to top up some of the products I've used. Actually, that's a bit of a lie. I topped up my powder, which is the Glossier powder. Wow. Because as part of my project pan, I was using up any other powders that I had, and I have used up all my powders, and then I finished my Glossier powder earlier on anyway, and so I needed to decide what was going to be my go-to powder for the next however long it takes me to use up a powder, I suppose. And at the end of the day, I decided Glossier was my go-to. So this was a replacement item, so not a rule break, but I did branch out into 2 other products. So I have been using the Glossier, they're more like treatment serums over the last year. It's a set of 3. I think they're called Pure, Bounce and Glow. So Pure is to clear your skin or deal with any imperfections, and then Bounce and Glow pretty much as it says on the bottle. But I saw they did Future Dew, which is meant to be like really, well, dewy, really glowy, really natural, and I really wanted to try it. So despite the fact that I had other serums, I bought this. It's amazing, I love it, but it was a rule break. So sadly, I'm going to put that on this side. This I am classing as the first rule break of 2021. Terrible. So that's that one. I also bought a Body Hero Body Mist. I don't know whether to class this as a rule break. This is very much the same circumstance I was in last year when I first tried the treatment serums, because I'd never had a serum before in my life. So it wasn't like I was buying a product that I already had, like I was breaking the replacement rule or anything. I was trying something new. And that could be said for this. I've never used a body mist before, and I've mentioned in a previous video that I don't spend the time to, you know, do a whole body moisturize when I get out of the shower. So something quick and easy like this I have really enjoyed using. So I don't know, I think based on the fact that I've been very flexible with things like the skipping rope, I'm gonna put this on the rule break side, because I was doing perfectly well without this, but it was a new product I wanted to try. I think the serums last year I also counted as a rule break, so it wasn't necessary, it wasn't essential. I was doing just fine without it, but I purchased it anyway, so I'm counting that as another rule break. And that's February. That was everything I bought in February. So number of items, I feel like I'm doing really well. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a bunch of underwear. Like, that's not too bad going. So then we came into March, and the first thing I bought in March was another replacement item, and that was a new water bottle. I was really disappointed that I needed to buy a water bottle this early on, because I only bought one last year. I bought one during my no-buy last year because I had one and the top cracked. So when I was at work, I went to drink out of it, not realizing there was a crack, and it just went all down me, and that was really embarrassing. So I bought one last year. It was like a metallic one with a screw top. Really liked the design of it. Didn't hold as much, which at the time wasn't an issue for me, because if I fill this up, I don't drink it in a day. I'm terrible for getting the amount of liquids I actually should get. But I was really disappointed that I needed to replace it so early on. It was completely my own fault why I needed to replace it. So because of the last lockdown, which was from December to early March, I did not use my water bottle, which I have to bring it up. I have referred to so many times in my videos that I call a water bottle a flask, because that's what I was raised as a child. You know, you had your lunchbox and your flask to take to school. And people, I think mainly from America, have pointed out that a flask in the US means something that you put alcohol in, and that is not the same here. Like, you can have an alcohol flask, like that is still a thing here, but a flask can also refer to anything you put a drink in, because to be honest, I don't use this as a water bottle specifically. I put squash in here because I'm about 5 years old on the inside and I'm not mature enough to drink water and stand the taste of it by itself, so I put a sugar-free squash in it because I'm 5. But anyway, so yeah, flask. If I say flask, I mean this, just in case. I'm trying my best to say water bottle. But anyway, so yeah, it was completely my fault that my other one failed, if you like, in the way it did, because I didn't drain it properly. The last time I washed it before we went into the lockdown, so like the last day I went to work, I would have washed it and then it didn't drain properly and I put it back in the cupboard, and there must have just been like a little pool of water sat in the bottom of it. I didn't use it all through lockdown because I really only use something like this at work. When I'm at home, I just use a normal glass. And so it went mouldy on the inside, and I scrubbed it, I put boiling water in it, I cleaned it, and there was no visible mould left on it. And I braved it. I was like, I'll give it a go. And as soon as I went to drink from it, I could smell that damp smell, and I was like, I just can't, I cannot drink that, I cannot put that inside me. So I just quit on that and thought I'll get a new one. You might be surprised that I went for a plastic one this time. I had a plastic one before my metal one. I thought metal was just, you know, better for the environment. I don't know why so much I decided to go for a plastic one. I suppose it's lighter, much more spacious, but no, I have no real reasoning. But I got a new flask, water bottle. I got a new water bottle. So this was a replacement. Kind of my fault, but I'm not classing it as a rule break. Then, oh, this one's definitely a rule break. Not only is this a rule break, I feel like it's going to bring you a story. I'm going to give you a bit of an update. So I have bought some sheer curtains. It doesn't really look sheer, but if I put my hand in there, then you can see it. Some sheer curtains for my living room. Now, I know I said in my rules that I would be really not allowing myself any household. Last year I allowed myself only houseplants, but I got loads of those now. So this year I put in my rules that I wasn't allowed to have anything household related, but I have really been struggling with that. I think being in lockdown again, but this time through January and February with it being so dark, I realised just how dark my living room is. And it was really driving me mad. I think it doesn't help that our living room has got one really small window at the front, and it's a narrow but long room, so the light doesn't travel very well to the back. Not really proving my point here because I've got 2 lights on me, my like proper filming lights, so it doesn't look dark, but it really is. And we have blinds on that window, as well as across from us there is a house that blocks most of the natural light. So we get beautiful light in the back of our house through the kitchen, but the living room is so dark. I don't think it's helped by the fact that we have dark sofas, which are really quite bulky. They're big, beautifully comfortable, but I think they sort of absorb a lot of the light. And my husband made the decision to buy a larger TV, which is also black, so I think that makes the room look darker. So I was really sort of like, oh, I need to do something with this room, and I was very aware that I'd set myself, you know, the no household purchases rule, and I've just decided to give myself a bit of freedom with that. So my plan is I'm going to keep the blind on the wall, but in the day, I'm going to pull it up fully, not just open it as slats, like completely raise it, and then have these curtains just to frame it a little bit and just to add a little bit of privacy, so it's not just one big bare open window. So I'm going to try that and see if that helps to bring more light in. You may have noticed the little feature wall behind me on both sides I have painted, so it matches the rest of the room. So this behind me was like a sort of a pinky browny reddy colour. The colour was, I think it was called truffle, and I didn't think painting that tiny bit would make much of a difference, but it really has. It's just helped to brighten it up a little bit, just to have it that sort of neutral, natural colour. So I'm really pleased with that. And I've also taken up the rug in here. Our rug was grey, so again, not the brightest, lightest colour, and we have light wood floors, so I was covering up a lot of that. So I've rolled up that rug, and my husband's actually just going to have it in his office, so we've just moved it to another part of the house. and that has really helped brighten up this room. We are thinking about having the TV put on the wall, but between the two of us, we're not that handy. Like, I can do so much DIY, but I don't actually own a drill. So every time we've done something in terms of like drilling in the walls to put something up, my dad's always come to help us, but obviously with lockdown, we've not been able to do that. So he's gonna come at some point when the rules allow to try and put our TV on the wall. It's quite big and quite heavy, so we don't know if we'll have to get someone in to do it properly, but we'll see. So that's my game plan. So I bought some curtains, and also to go with it, a really cheap curtain rail. These are really light and just sort of very airy material, so they don't need a really strong and sturdy rail. So it's really thin, really cheap. It didn't cost me very much, but you know, I did say at the beginning, no household, so this is absolutely, definitely a rule break. I'm not begrudging myself that, you know, I'm planning on doing plenty of decluttering this year anyway. So, you know, if it makes my space better and I feel more positive about it, because, you know, if it's a cloudy day, it feels like a cave in here. Like, it can get to midday and I'll be like, I need to put the light on, it's dark. And, you know, we are getting into the spring now, so I'm hoping that'll help too. But, so that's just my situation, in case you were wondering about that, and, you know, why the walls changed and why I allowed myself a household purchase. It was for my sanity in a very dark living room. The next thing was just a top up of my shampoo. As you can see, I've not opened these yet. Because these can sometimes take a while to get here, I do order them a couple of weeks before I'll need them, and I have still got a tiny bit left in mine, but these are just to replace my shampoo and conditioner. I always use Function of Beauty. I think I've used them for 3 to 4 years now. It's probably like 3.5. And I absolutely love them. They are a bit pricey for shampoo and conditioner, but I find they last ages. I've mentioned it before, people seem really surprised by this. I wash my hair every other day, and these last me around about 5 months. I have had 6 months out of them before when I've had slightly shorter hair, but I mean, it's not like I've got no hair. It's quite long. And I mean, I do have thin hair, so I suppose I use less product then, but these last ages. I basically buy my shampoo and conditioner twice a year. Not a rule break, these are just replacing the ones I use that are almost run out. And the last thing, which I actually bought today, it is still March when I'm filming this, it's the 30th, just to put that into perspective. And today I made a purchase of a plant pot. So exciting, I know. I needed a new plant pot because my yucca, I don't know if anyone remembers, but I used to have a yucca plant that was massive that my dad rescued from his work when his company was changing offices, and they were just going to throw it away because it was all sort of distorted because no one had cared for it. It was like dangling downwards. It was really sad. So I decided to rescue it, and it was with me for about 1.5 years, but I think the damage had already been done within it, and then one day the whole head of it just crashed to the floor. And that was the end of my yucca, but it had had 5 babies just growing in the bottom of it, and I didn't know they could do that. So I replanted all these babies, and my mum had one, my sister had one. There's one in my office, one in my bathroom, and one in my living room. And the one I kept, like my mum and my sister both had like the best 2, and I was left with the worst 3. And the one in my living room is doing the same thing. Its head is so heavy, it's flourishing beautifully, but its stem is so skinny that it's starting to bend. And I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that it's outgrown its pot. So I've got a bigger pot for it. I'm gonna repot it later today, and that's that. So this, I don't know what you count this as. Is this a rule break? Is this household? Is this me being a good plant parent? I don't know at this point. So that's it. That is everything I have bought so far this year that I would deem to be non-essential, that sort of falls within and without of my no-buy rules. I mean, like, I've had to do things like get petrol, take my car for its MOT, buy groceries, pay my bills, like all of that. I don't need to show you any of that, talk about any of that, because that's just a given. They are the essential things I need for the running of my house, my car, and my life. But these are all things that, you know, were optional purchases. I'm sure I would have survived if I didn't buy them. I might have had to come up with some alternatives for some of them, but this is just what I've bought so far and I wanted to share that with you and give you a little update. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you are new here and wondering what on earth I'm going on about in terms of my no-buy, then please subscribe to my channel and feel free to go check out some of my older no-buy videos. I do have a playlist all about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Until then, take care.